My name is Cameron Blevins, and I am the Senior Project Manager for Bourbon City Builders. I'm here with Darius Payne. He's our Senior Superintendent. Here with Chris Wilkinson and Alex Mason, who are also our project managers for this job. We're representing Bourbon City Builders and Western Kentucky University. A little bit about our company. We were founded in 1996 in Bowling Green, Kentucky. We are a commercial construction company that specializes in general contracting, construction management, and design build construction for a wide variety of customers. Our slogan is Masters of Consistency and Quality, and that is what the owner can expect to receive from our final project. We bring that same consistency and quality through every project that we do. Our work has primarily been in the southeastern United States, but we are hoping that this opportunity at Dallas is a way that we can begin expanding our reach to other states and other avenues. So now our project manager, Alex Mason, is going to tell us a little bit about our core project team.
I'm Alex Mason, a project manager with the Bourbon City Builders. Some of our team is Cameron Blevins, as you met him. He's our senior project manager. He's got 22 years with our company. We also got Darius Payne. He's our senior superintendent. He's got 24 years with us as well. Myself, a project manager on this job. I've got 11 years with the Bourbon City Builders. And my friend Chris Wilkinson, he's got 14 years as a project manager for our company. And we chose this team because we've had a lot of projects in the past that will adequately equip us for this project so we can bring the best quality for you all.
Chris Wilkinson, project manager on site. For the agenda today, we're going to start a presentation by breaking it down to staffing levels, project management plan and schedule, estimate, quality control, safety, and site plan. For our project team, for this project, we have broken it down to Bashar Haddad is our project executive, Cameron Blevins, our senior project manager, Darius Payne as senior superintendent, Alex Mason as project manager, Chris Wilkinson as project manager, and Jared Talley as superintendent.
So looking into our project management plan, we're expected to hit the ground running upon notice to proceed. We'll begin our pre-work submittals and our coordination with subcontractors. We'll also begin our mobilization on site immediately with our site organization and our tent facilities. We're also planning on getting our 15% participation in the good faith effort. We're expecting to have these participations in our traffic control and our cleaning crews, but we are also looking at other avenues to having this participation in other ways. Our self-performed work will be demolition and some of the interior finishes. We chose to do demolition because it's just the best way for our company to be on site and getting it ready for other subcontractors to move in and get ready on everything else. Looking at our high risk, we are firm believers in getting our workers home in the same way that they came to the job site that day. So 0 injuries is our main goal on site, and we will have precautions set for COVID-19 and all the other things listed below, and our project manager, Chris Wilkinson, will mention that later in our safety. And looking at our major scopes of work, concrete, roofing, and glazing are our 3 major scopes. All 3 of these tie into our dry-in dates, and these will prohibit our dry-in and they'll slow down interior finishes. So getting these 3 scopes moving at a steady pace will be our main goal at getting our schedule on time. Looking at our schedule, we're expected to finish this project in under 32 months. It's 127 weeks. We will begin on our notice to proceed on April 19th, and then begin our mobilization shortly after that. These durations we have compiled through our previous work history and our other jobs, and we compiled it to match this job site.
Darius Payne, the project senior superintendent. Here's the total project cost estimate. Exceed around a little over $80.5 million. 61% of this cost being the construction cost, 32% for the general conditions, and the rest of it contractors fee, bonds, etc. Here is the breakdown of the total construction cost, a little under $49 million. Here at for openings, our highest here being a little over $8 million. That's high because we have included glazing itself into the openings. Glazing cost itself was a little over $8 million, and the rest of the traditional doorways being the rest of that cost.
For our quality control plan, our quality control plan is in place to meet or exceed the expectations set forth in the project documents. We've also got tests and inspections set up before, during, and after construction to ensure that the products and methods we use fall under the guidelines presented in the project documents. And in our description of our company, we are masters of quality, and we can see the quality control plan. We take that very seriously, and we want to produce the best quality as possible.
Safety. Safety is our main priority for all employees and staff on site. COVID-19 is our #1 main priority. 2 main entries for COVID checkpoints has been put and made in the plan, and 10 checks for in and leaving. Masks required, 6 feet distance markers, maintain regular housekeeping practices and routine cleaning. Stay home if you're sick, wash hands frequently, and strict number of employees in a building at once. Top 5 hazards will be fall hazards, hot weather policy struck by hazards, caught in or caught between hazards, and substance abuse. AHA analysis sheets, a valuable tool used for training in new employees and making sure they know the hazards that they are facing at this job site. It will be given out to employees and staff working on site to perform for job safety. In case of emergency accidents that occur, EAP, emergency action plans, will be implemented for reporting emergencies, emergency contact information, escape routes / re-entry plans, severe weather, and employee trainings. Routes will be posted for fire and other emergencies as well. PPE, personal protective equipment, will be utilized for types of hazard prevention by wearing hard hats, steel-toe boots, vests, and other protective equipment when it is necessary when working on our job site.
So now we're going to look at our site plan. Our yellow indicates our site limits, and the red and cyan colors are our entrances and exits. And as Chris mentioned, the cyan colors are our COVID-19 checkpoints, where every worker on site will be getting their temperature checked before, at the beginning of the day and at the end of the day. They will receive wristbands for each day just to show that they got their temperature checked and are good. The green shows where our deliveries will be brought. We are going to keep Pacific and Good Latimer clear to keep traffic moving around this area. And then our interior site plan, the green shows our ideal laydown areas, and the red is our tower crane location. The yellow shows where our connexes will be placed for our offices. These are ideal, they can be moved, and they will be moved, especially during excavation and throughout the entirety of the project, but this is where our ideal locations will be. Blue shows our restrooms and hand washing stations. So that is the end of our presentation, and now it's time for y'all to ask us some questions.
Okay, perfect. I'll go ahead and turn it over to your team, Amanda.
Okay, great. Thanks, guys. We really appreciate it. Nice presentation. Couple questions for you. In the pie chart you showed of your cost proposal, looks like you had about 2% listed for owner. Can you elaborate what that is?
Yeah, so that's going to be our owner fees. It's going to be just the, oh, do you have that written down? One second, we have it written down to show. So the owners, it's going to be our contingency and our, it's just our owner fees for our travel and everything like that.
Okay, 10-4. How about, I was looking at your site plan in terms of the crane. Can you guys tell me how you came up with your crane plan in terms of the size that you chose and why you placed it where you did?
So we chose, I don't remember which size we have, but we chose the one that would cover the entirety of the site itself. We chose this location because it can reach all the way over. Can y'all see my cursor?
Yes.
Okay, so the crane that we chose can reach all the way into these areas right in here. I didn't show the entirety of like the swing radius, but it could reach the corners good, but it could not reach this corner. But we are planning on getting our heavy steel and all of our other big equipment that needs crane to be delivered in this area and this area.
Okay. Is there any safety concerns with the crane swinging over the roadways, the adjacent roadways?
So Chris was our guy working on our safety. I'm gonna kind of pass that off to him.
I'll jump in on that one. We're gonna try to avoid swinging over the road as much as possible. And we do have a crew in place to take care of blocking off that road, which, as we mentioned earlier, we'd like to keep the main roadways as open as possible for traffic, but we do have a crew set up in place to block the road when we need to.
Great. Another safety question for you. I know in the summer months it gets quite hot and humid down in Dallas. You did mention that too as one of your top 5 safety hazards. What is your policy on mitigating heat stress?
Yes. For heat stress, we'll be maintaining water breaks for employees, and we'll also be using fans and different equipment and different things on site, be put on site to help cool down employees and make sure employees' health is safe, and give them training to know if they're heat exhausted or different things like that, so they will understand and know when to take breaks and when to do other things.
Great, thank you. One more question. In terms of just overall project risk, what do you see as the biggest risk on this project, and how can you guys mitigate that risk?
I think the biggest risk for this project might be the lack of laydown area. We've got kind of a tight area to work in, and we've got a big project. And so we're gonna have to keep an eye out. We're all gonna have our safety vests on and our hard hats with well noticeable, and we're gonna make sure it's a priority for everyone on site, that they know that we're gonna be in close proximity to one another, and they're gonna have to keep an eye out, especially our excavation equipment. They've got to keep a steady head and keep an eye out for people working around them.
That's great. That leads me to one more question I did have. I was looking at your staff plan, so it looks like you have 2 superintendents on your staff right now. Who's taking point in terms of QC and safety? Are they both, or is there a dedicated person that maybe wasn't listed?
So our superintendents, we will have a senior superintendent and then a regular superintendent. Our senior superintendent is going to deal primarily with the subcontractors and scheduling, and he's going to deal with the coordination between all the subs. And then our regular superintendent, Jared, is going to be dealing with quality control and all the other things on site.
Okay, great. With that, I will turn it over to you, Tommy, Jake, or Chris.
This is Tommy. I'll jump in with a question related to the QC and safety representatives. The RFP required y'all to have a full-time safety and a full-time individuals that are just dedicated to those tasks, not kind of overlapping with supervision. Do you have dedicated individuals for those roles in your pricing, or is that something you would have to revise and get us a revised cost for to include?
We did have dedicated safety in our pricing. That's included in our general conditions. It was not listed at the staffing level because we have not named that person yet, but we will have a full-time safety officer on site. And then the other subs, if they do not meet our standards and they have previous history with injuries, they will also have a safety manager on their crew as well.
Okay, very good. I'll let Chris or Brian take a question.
Okay, this is Chris. I've got a couple questions. Your general conditions were roughly 26 million. I believe on your pie chart were roughly a third of the overall cost, which is fairly significant from what we've seen on other projects from other contractors. Can you elaborate a little bit of what is driving the cost in your general conditions?
Yeah, part of the reason our general conditions were so high was we always focus on quality and consistency, and part of that is using the right equipment. And so we try not to skimp on fees in any way possible to get the right equipment for our subs. And a lot of times you'll see that subs can do good work, but their equipment can slow them down, and we want to stay on schedule and stay on budget. So we want to get as good equipment as possible with good leadership as well.
Another thing to add to that, our general conditions were also a little high because we have to travel. We are coming from Kentucky to Texas, so our travel fees were going to be a little bit high to send our employees down there.
Okay. And then I was looking, your initial proposal in round numbers, you were roughly $50 million. And then in your best and final offer, round numbers, you were roughly $80 million, which was a significant cost increase, mostly in the direct cost of work. What was driving the cost increase in your final offer?
So the cost increase was primarily due to the subcontractors, and whenever we did our estimate, we failed to represent the labor costs and the cost for all the employees there. So whenever the subcontractors and we got our bid packages from them, they included labor costs and everything in their total pricings. So that jumped the pricings up pretty heavily. And we forgot to implement that this was in Dallas. So we used some of our numbers from our Kentucky projects and they did not carry over to this project. So we are sorry to admit that it is 30 million more. We knew that this was going to be a question coming up, but so that's the reasoning behind the 30 million jump, was that we did not include labor costs in our initial estimate, and then we did not apply the Dallas, Texas pricings in that area.
Okay, thank you for your candidness. On the subcontractors and everything, can you confirm which trade partner you are using to do the concrete framework?
Yeah.
For the concrete framework, we're going to be having Gerdau, Ready Mix, and Pioneer Concrete Pumping. And Pincos will be our main subcontractors that we'll be using.
Okay. And have they provided feedback or given you buy-in as far as your schedule duration for the frame activities? Or
They have not given us any of their durations. We just used our durations that we have used on previous projects. So that's the durations that we implied. We're sure that their durations are going to be somewhat similar and they could vary, but we have not heard anything back from them.
okay, thank you.
Jake or Brant, do you guys have questions? Or Melissa?
Yeah,
Tommy,
Haley, this is Amanda.
I'll
I'll
jump in.
jump in again with a couple more. Can you guys tell me a little bit in terms of the QC process, what is your process for punch list and turnover?
Part of the quality control plan is we have an extensive punch list, and as you know, punch lists are very important to finishing up a project, and we're going to keep a constant eye. We have multiple project managers on this job, so we can keep a constant eye on the punch list and be in constant communication with all the subs to make sure while the punch list is getting completed, we're not focusing on just getting it completed. We want to make sure it's to the highest possible quality as well.
What programs do you guys typically use
For what?
for punch list?
Oh, for punch list. We have a couple different softwares that we use, but for the most part, we just use different softwares that work together with all the subs so that we can all be apart together on constant communication with one another.
We will more than likely be using BIM 360, using BIM 360 Field and Glue throughout the entirety of the project. It's just a matter of if the subcontractors are able to apply that in their forms of work, and we are able to adapt to their changes.
Got it. Okay. How about the warranty process? So me as the owner, if I've got a warranty issue 3 months after you guys leave the job, what is the process for closing warranty items?
We have leadership in our company that takes care of our quality. We have multiple different HR representatives, and we've got all our warranties. We'll have them lined up as soon as possible, and we'll continue to keep an eye on those warranties long after the project is due to ensure that the owner and the company is happy with the quality that we've provided.
Great. One more question real quick. You guys said you're mostly in the Southeast, and do you guys have any past experience here in the Texas region?
We do not have any in the Texas region. We have had vast projects in Louisville and Lexington and then the Nashville area. So we're a young company and we're trying to spread out to another region. So we're looking at moving more west and getting to the Texas area because there's so many opportunities in that area.
And also, this is our first project in the area, so we're going to focus on making sure that it's quality, and we want it to be well known that we did a great job on this project so that we can expand our company into this area.
Okay, great. And then Bourbon City Builders as a whole, what's your annual volume of work?
We tend to do 5 to 6 projects a year, but only one is like a major project like this size. We do a lot of office buildings and renovations to sports facilities and hospitals and all of that. So we typically bring in about 400 million a year. It's a young company, but we're growing pretty rapidly.
Great, thank you. Tommy, do you have any other questions?
Yeah, I've got one or two here. The first was a safety related question. So as you've noticed, we've got adjacent to the site is some light rail tracks. And the city has some concerns over how we're going to protect that and make sure that our vertical construction with concrete, curtain wall, and all those activities don't impact it through an accident or debris or construction material falling on the tracks. What have you all included in your plan to protect the railway lines that are adjacent there?
So we will have temporary roofing over the railways, and we will have a fence around them to keep workers and everything away from them. We are going to try our best to keep everything away from the rail tracks and keep the roofing on it for the entirety of the project, and then remove it all once it is finished, and then we are moved out.
Okay, thank you for that. And the last question I've got is an estimate-based question. We realized on the bid form we did not give you all a line item to indicate your GL, general liability insurance amount. Can you confirm for us that you have the general liability insurance included, and advise, ballpark range of how much it is included for?
We have liability insurance at the company level, and for this project specifically, we have multiple subs that we've been talking to and insurance companies that we've worked with in the past, but we're trying to expand our area, as we mentioned, because we're generally in the Kentucky area, and so the insurance is a little different, and our firm that we normally use for Bourbon City Builders here in Kentucky doesn't do insurance for Texas jobs, and so we're trying to expand that company as well, and we're in communications with multiple different companies, and we're looking at different prices, but for right now, the plan for pricing will be pretty standard for a job of this size, and we'll try and keep it just as liable as possible throughout the company.
All right, very good. Thank you for that.
That answer?
With that, I think it brings us to, and want to congratulate you guys on a job well done. I understand this is your first year competing, and I'm sure it was a bit overwhelming, but you should be commended for your hard work.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Congratulations, guys. If you can, just go ahead and sign out, and you're more than welcome to join back in to view the other presentations. But if you can, just log out for now as a panelist. And congratulations.
Thank you.